Good afternoon, Central TV. My name is Mandi Satinda, and I am outside PACOFS, where Mr. Dlamini, who is the new CEO of PACOFS, will be kickstarting his fresh campaign, which he calls Phase 1, Cleaning the Garden. Now, him and his staff will be outside here cleaning. But what is mostly interesting is that there are volunteers from the community members as well as the performing artists who were previously performing here at PACOFS, who actually volunteered to say, we also want to clean the place. Now, we will have an interview later on with Mr. Dlamini, and we invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy everything that we are about to bring you. All right, good afternoon again, Central TV. We are with Ndade Dlamini, and Ndade Dlamini will be telling us what we are doing here. Thank you so much, Ndade Dlamini, for joining us, and congratulations on becoming the CEO of PACOFS.
Thank you.
Ndade Dlamini, could you please tell us about yourself?
Okay, where do I start? Let's start in reverse.
Yes.
So, I was a member of the National Planning Commission.
Okay.
5 years ago, 5 years and 3 months. I was a commissioner on the National Planning Commission, and I was responsible for 2 main chapters. One was Chapter 14, which is fighting corruption, and Chapter 12, which is building safer communities. So my sole responsibility for that particular chapters were first and foremost to determine, how far the implementation, both for Chapter 12 and Chapter 14, were done by the respective institutions. And how we went about that was also to do stakeholder engagement. So stakeholder engagement is not something new. I've done it before, and I was able to pick up where we were going in terms of the 2 chapters. I was able to also hone into a new concept called addressing issues related to money laundering. Okay? Because the focus on fighting corruption was mainly on the usual type of corruption. But when I came on board, although I'm not an expert, I'm not a person in crime area, but I got to get interested in looking at money laundering and illicit financial flows.
Okay.
So that's the part. But then the other part about being in the planning commission was to promote active citizenship. So what you're going to see, and maybe we'll talk about it at a later stage, is the active citizenry that you see at PACOFS, which I'm trying to promote. Doing things because as a citizen, you are duty bound to do something and not sit back and think, wait for the next person to do it first. So that's the influence of the NPC. Before that, I have served on a number of boards in the capacity of a chairman of the National Library of South Africa and also as a board member for different state institutions. So my exposure to being a board member goes about more than 20 years, almost 30 years, because as a board member and also as a CEO, I played that particular role. Okay. I've been a CEO for a number of institutions. My last CEO job before this one was a CEO of the Public Protector of South Africa. Okay. So I was a CEO there. So anything that has to deal with the government machinery, I'm quite familiar with. So coming to PACOFS was my last mile in terms of my not my career, but saying that, look, if I had to choose maybe a retirement job, this one came at the right time. So I said, no, let it be my retirement job. So my vision was to say, let me go to PACOFS. When the offer was made, I came on board. Okay, and I joined PACOFS in November last year. So I'm technically 74 days, business days, in this particular job. Okay, but in terms of my academic background, I'm not into theater. I've got a master's degree in development economics.
Yes.
So this DNA of working with people come from what people in the social space will do. Always working with people, making sure that you have people on board and show them the benefit. Okay, so that's the academic period. But again, my work, my work experience, as I said, I've been a CEO for many organizations. So I won't go down the list. I've worked in government mainly. So I've got more than 20, 30 years of work experience at an executive level. I've been into the regulatory space in terms of telecommunication.
Okay.
So I've literally worked in almost every sector that you can imagine.
Yes.
Health, I've been in the health sector. Telecommunication, I've been in telecommunication. Gambling, I've been in the gambling sector. What else? NGO, I was a managing director for the Black Management Forum. In the government space again, I've worked for science and technology. I got exposed to science and technology. So I've literally walked through a number of sectors and I've been exposed to a large extent. So coming here was to say that let me take all that I have learned and then come and share it with people in this particular period that I've already stipulated and make a difference.
Well, given your history and background, it is definitely clear that you are the man for that. Now, tell us about today. Why are we here today? What is happening today?
Okay, so what is happening today is the theme of today is Operation Clean Up Your Own Backyard.
Okay.
So you can't start talking about other places except your own. Okay, and cleaning up your own backyard comes from the fact that in the 74 days that I've been here, I did my own walkabout of PACOFS. So I know PACOFS' weaknesses and strengths from basically observing the infrastructure that is here, the offering that the infrastructure has of PACOFS. They've got one of the best machinery that the organization has that needs to be profiled. Okay, it has got one of the best stages that needs to be profiled. We've got one of the best venues, the marble foyer, you name it, backstage. You've got these venues that needs to be profiled. Now, on the basis of that, you need the ambience to be profiled in such a way that when people come, the audience, right, they feel that they are entering the space of a theater, of a performing arts. Now, this place has been vandalized a lot, right? As you can see, when you walked around here, you will see that a lot of the infrastructure has been vandalized, number one. Number two, the place has been turned into what I call scavengers, having their own home here, people doing the laundry and taking advantage of the pond that we have. So a lot of things have been destroyed and have been neglected, right? So what triggered this particular project, it came through one person coming to buy a ticket.
Okay.
Now this person came and said, I want to buy a ticket, but then they were attracted by all this dirt around them. And they said, no, it can't be. This is not a PACOFS that we know.
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing triggered the other. So it went on Facebook. The lady did not necessarily complain, but made us aware. So it was then picked up by another lady from outside. So I've now even called them the Friends of PACOFS. Okay. And then this lady who then got hold of the marketing manager, the senior manager responsible for marketing and communication. And then one thing led to the other. So the lady who triggered this complaint about our garden then brought in another lady who has been doing landscaping for more than 30 years.
Okay.
This lady is 80 years of age. But when you see her, you won't think she's 80 years of age.
Okay.
So she has done landscaping and she knows exactly what landscaping is all about. So she said to us, Temba, before you do anything else, okay, get the garden set up in such a way that before you put the fence, right, get the garden to a status where we can start working on it. Okay, so getting the garden, the garden ready for planting flowers and so forth. You've got about plus minus 70 of those pot plants, the big ones. So she then said, get this thing clean up, right? And then the next step will be then maintaining the garden to bring it to the appropriate level. Okay.
Okay.
So then she introduced me to another guy who normally cuts the trees, right? The guy came. She said, "No, I've got so and so. He's doing this kind of work. Who cuts trees?" And then we said, "Okay, fine. Bring him in." I didn't even ask how much he's going to charge.
Okay.
So I just said, "Bring in the guy." Okay. Then the guy came in. He started working without even asking for a cent yet.
Wow.
And then immediately after that, I said, "How much is your cost for this?" And then he put a figure. I said, "No, don't worry." Then I said, "Okay, fine. Here. In fact, give me your business, give me your account, and then I'll pay you."
Okay.
So the day after, I think the day after or that evening, I did a transfer. So I paid him. Okay. The reason why I did that was to get certain things going. It was not to necessarily buy face. Okay. The amount is affordable. So I thought, no, I can just put in, a contribution, right, out of my own pocket. And I'm not expecting anyone to reward me for that. It's just to kickstart a particular process. Okay, so this guy came and he cut the trees. So this lawn, if I'm not mistaken, Public Works had already started cutting it, right? Because part of their work is to maintain the garden. But we wanted to take it a step further, okay, to make the place attractive, so that when you are out there, you can see that you are at the performing arts center.
Yes.
So why I asked the staff, I actually announced it before to the staff, so it's not a surprise, they know. I said at my first staff meeting with them, guys, I want you to join me. And then they said, what is it? What are you up to, CEO? I said, on such a day, we will do operation cleanup, your own backyard. So when you see them, these are the majority of the staff here that are working. And then they came on board, and you can see the morale is there's no whinging. People want to get their hands dirty. And I said, you are doing this for yourself.
I understand there are also volunteers here. Even,
Yeah,
performing
those are our
artists.
friends. We call them friends of PACOFS.
Okay.
Who came? One of the ladies who triggered this particular project came with her own gardener.
Okay.
And again, her contribution was to bring this particular gardener. They started doing the pot plants.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, and she has actually volunteered that now I will bring him every other day.
Okay.
Okay, even the guy who was cutting the trees, we're starting to formalize if he has to proceed with a bigger picture in terms of cutting the trees, we'll bring him on board.
Okay.
So this is the start, and we are not trying to draw the attention of anyone else except saying to my staff, we can do it.
Yes.
Let's clean this place. Let's make sure that, as you can see, the dirt behind us is gone. Okay. When we came here for the first time, we found a scavenger, and I said to the scavenger, this is the last time I must find you here.
Okay.
Okay. I said, before I call the security, I will have to deal with you. Okay. The scavenger is no longer here. Okay. There was a lady who was doing her laundry here. Okay.
Wow.
I spoke to the lady. I said, this is the last time I see you doing laundry here. Okay. And then the lady, she didn't argue with me, and then she's no longer here.
Okay.
Okay. All I had to do is speak to her, not even harass her. Just speaking to her, said, no, we are on a premise that is not yours. This is a private premise, and this is our premise.
Okay.
So that mutual understanding, it wasn't difficult for her to understand.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the beginning. Come the last Friday of April, we have a second bite.
Which is also to clean up
Yeah.
the garden.
So the second bite will be, let's see what we have done.
Okay.
And then by that time, the sprinklers will hopefully be up and running. Because all we are now need is water to be able to clean up this thing completely.
Okay.
Okay. So as I said, come April, one of the staff members will say, "Oh, see, why don't we do this almost every other week?" Right? I said, well, one thing at a time. Let's get the momentum going. Let them start thinking, okay, fine. this is what we have done as employees. Is this a good idea or is not a good idea? So they will do their own self-introspection, okay? And in order to make sure that at least they don't just come and work without being provided with food, we organize. The marketing lady across Waterfront made a contribution of food. So the food that you saw is a contribution. So that's a friend of PACOFS. Okay, so this is now over and above what we could have provided them with water.
All right.
So that's the idea.
All right. So, apart from cleaning up the garden regularly, so what programs do you have in place in order to revamp PACOFS and bring it back to its state?
Okay, so let's start with the infrastructure.
Okay.
Right. You remember the infrastructure? There are four focus areas. Is a fence. So the fence should be, the work on the fence should start shortly. Once we get a decision sometime today, we should be able to then know that who is the winning bidder, and then that winning bidder will start the work. Okay. So the fencing will come up because the garden, you can only go up to a certain extent before the fence, because we don't want to invest too much on the garden and then people come and steal plants, because some of the plants are quite expensive.
Yes.
Okay, and maybe before I forget, I'll come back to the plants. Before I forget, there is also a friend of PACOFS who has donated compost.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just I can't recall the actual name of the company, but lots of bags of compost have been donated, and as and when that time comes, you'll probably have an opportunity to meet another friend of PACOFS.
Okay.
Okay, to say that this is the compost that they are now going to fill up the pots and then get it to a certain level. Okay. But coming back to the project, so infrastructure-wise is the fence. Now, once the fence is up, right, then you will coordinate around PACOFS.
Okay.
And then the garden and the fence will give a different perspective. Because once you see the fence, then you say, okay, fine, I'm in a new area. This is what will tell a story. Oh, is this PACOFS? Yes, it is PACOFS. Having a different look and feel. So that's a fence. The entrance, right? The main entrance will have also, that's a second project. That is also going to come up, and it will run concurrently with the fence, right? So the award for the fence and the main entrance is already, it's just a matter of time. End of business day today,
It's done.
a decision has been taken, we make the award. Okay, and that's good. So we've got two projects already underway. Okay, this is within 74 days that I've been here.
Yes.
Right now, and then we have the CCTV that will also come, and also what they call the HVAC. Is an infrastructure project which looks at the entire building. As you can see behind you, right, the building requires a bit of facelifting here and there. Okay, some of the electricity parts have been abused by the scavengers. Okay, you can see the electric poles here have all been broken, and some will break the electric part and then use it for their own purposes. Some will either charge their phones. How they know the technology, I don't know. Some will actually use it for during the winter time, right? They will actually literally use a heater using the electricity. So, but my friends of PACOFS, which I call a spy, because that's my ears and eyes, they say, no, we know that there are people who come here and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I already, within the period that I've been here, established a relationship, because for PACOFS to succeed, you need the stakeholders to first understand where you are going, first understand what their needs are, and then ask them whether is PACOFS, what PACOFS is doing, is that what you're looking for? So that's on the infrastructure. Then you come to the core deliverables. Okay, as I've already indicated, you have a manager responsible for the core. So that is now on your productions.
Yes.
Okay, so there's a big project that is coming up, which will be the launching pad of the program for the year, and it's called High Lapeng. Okay, so High Lapeng will be the launching pad for the entire program. So when we launched our program, it will be through Hyla Pay, okay? And then it will give us a lineup as to what is coming in terms of the future in a new financial year. Okay. So the dates will obviously come up very shortly, and we'll obviously communicate with our stakeholders, including yourself. Okay. So you'll then have a clear-cut program. Okay. Now the other program, which is on the public engagement. Okay. So this is part of the public engagement.
Okay.
Which is already in our what we refer to as the annual performance plan. So it is in the plan that as the accounting officer, you need to have partnered with X number of people. Okay. So that's something that we are building towards. Okay. So come tomorrow and then you ask me, how far have you progressed? I will then say, one, I've been able to engage, let's say, the FM or whomever in terms of the media and yourself. And then we already have an engagement. And I'm hoping with time we formalize the relationship, okay? So that as and when it happens, we can then pick up the call and say, we have a production, we have an activity, can we showcase it, can you interview the artistic director and so forth.
All right.
Okay.
Now, within your APP programs, how do you plan to actually involve the community as a whole, and mostly the youth, actually?
Okay. So the involvement of the community comes in different ways. Okay. Once we have the programs out, we find through our media platforms or different platforms, we communicate what PACOFS wants to do. Okay. But I'm going to touch on specifically the incubator program. Okay. The incubator program has got an element of the youth. Okay. So with the incubator program, which we just did not long ago, okay, we had the majority were youth, right, that were participating, and then they were also from different parts of the province, right? So they come from different parts of the province. And then the diversity is also interesting. You've got a combination of youngsters, women, and young men. Okay. So we are using the incubator, right, as a foundation to draw the youth. Okay. So the youth will be drawn through the incubator, what we have done. Because with the incubator, people were actually showcasing their work.
Yes.
Right? But you see, with an incubator, as incubator means, you incubate a person, right? But you want to see where the person ends.
Yeah.
Now, I've then introduced what I call a tracking system. Okay. Where I said to the artistic director, I want to track the people that we have incubated. So we have a database that we have created. Okay. And then we'll say, this participant, where are they? One. Okay. Some of them are a bit reluctant because you will find that a person may not have matric. And then they are sort of like, a bit shy. And they say, no, it's got nothing to do with that. Because if we don't have that background, we won't be able to know. So we need to know our participant, right? We need to know their profile. So that we can support them or guide them. Without that profile, you can't go anywhere. Okay, so we are encouraging them, and the next time when we speak, I will give an update about that particular program and the tracking system.
All right, but the tracking system, after you have tracked how far they have come with actually the process, is there anything that you do to actually ensure that these people are actually successful after incubating or rather grooming them from PACOFS? Is there are they offered maybe internships or something?
No, look, I mean, the internships are already there.
Okay.
We have internship in various forms of the organization. I mean, we have put out an advert for internship to work in the ICT area. Okay. So across the different programs, internships are being promoted. So we've got an internship for people that can work in the artistic section. So that if you look at the latest advert, you'll see. Same applies with ICT. So we are promoting internship across the different programs in the organization. Program 1, which is your administration. Program 2, which is your core. Program 3 is your public engagement, which is marketing and so forth. So the interns have got an opportunity to apply and then obviously submit whatever their credentials are. So that gives them an opportunity to be able to participate and be exposed to what PACOFS can offer. But that's just on the internship.
Okay.
If you ask me what is because we started the incubator, at the end of the day we want to see impact.
Yes.
Okay, so you don't want people to just be taken through programs and then it stops. I want to be measured on impact,
Yes.
not on the numbers. Okay, if we say we have a clean audit, but you don't have impact, it doesn't mean anything. So you may say, I've been able to spend the public purse, according to the law, in a frugal way, or in a very manner that doesn't compromise the Public Finance Management Act, right? But then I need to be measured on impact, and the impact takes a bit of time, and then you have to have that tracking system. Because if you don't have a tracking system, and then you just work on your APP and the numbers, you're not going to get any traction. So that's the intention. And by the way, in order to measure the impact, you need to have partners.
Okay.
And then I'm quickly going to touch on it.
Yes,
Already
I was going to ask you
Yeah.
about the partners.
Yeah, so already we are talking to the provincial department responsible for arts. Okay. Tomorrow we've got an engagement on a memorandum of understanding or agreement to talk about areas of convergence, right? So that's one. Sister organizations, Playhouse, as I talked about, Playhouse Company in Durban, we have already given them a draft for consideration for areas of convergence. Okay, and the areas of convergence are very specific. Okay, it's about one, how can we leverage on each other's strength, because that's the intention, to leverage on your strength, not on your weaknesses.
Yes.
Okay, so their strength it's our weakness and vice versa. So that relationship will help. Okay, there's also conversions around school programs. Okay, so that is with Playhouse Company in Durban. Market Theatre is sitting now with the draft MOA. Okay, also with areas of convergence.
Okay.
Right. The next one is the State Theatre. Okay, as I said, I'll be completing the draft because I'm focusing on what are the areas that we want to converge. And just by way of example, with the State Theatre, right, they've got similar programs. Infrastructure, maintenance, how they use their venues in terms of generating revenue. So we have actually literally the same deliverables and vision. Okay? So we want to know, okay, what is it that State Theatre has that we don't have? That is actually pushing their revenue. Okay, so those lessons learned will come in. Again, on their core, we will also look at what are the core that they have that will actually pushing their institution. So those convergences are coming. Okay, so I've already talked about 3 institutions within, but now that is more on the sector. Now the friends of PACOFS, we are going to now look at what is the business community bringing.
Yes.
We're going to
do
look
you
at
have any partners from the business community?
Well, we are starting.
Okay.
You remember, build was not
74
built
days.
in a day. Okay. So bit by bit, you remember, the private sector wants to see deliverables.
Yes.
If you can't tell them what you are going to do with their investment, they are not going to invest. Okay. So they want to see real deliverables because no one can risk their money if they don't know what is the intended outcome.
Yes.
So gradually we will get there. We will look at partnership in terms of corporate social responsibility. Okay, so that's one thing that we are trying to do with the business community. But apart from that, we are also trying to build a relationship with other departments here that can add value to our core business.
Okay.
Education is another one.
Yes.
Okay, so is education assisting us to create a pipeline for
Basic
new
education,
talent?
higher education, what kind of
So,
education?
I mean, you look at basic education, for example.
Yes.
Basic education, they already have a curriculum on drama.
Yes.
It's already there.
Yes.
So how do we leverage on that? Okay, we can go to the schools
Yes.
because that's another area we are going to go into. Okay, and then say, how do you create a pipeline so that you keep on replenishing new talent as they come in and so forth. And PACOFS becomes the baseline or the conduit for that particular talent growing.
All right.
So that's the intention going forward. So we'll bring different friends of PACOFS from different angles. Okay.
All right. Ndede Dlamini, how easily accessible or how accessible are you to the people back at home who would say, I want an opportunity at PACOFS and I do not actually know how to start? How easily accessible will your programs be to the people back at home?
Look, I mean, the programs are accessible for starters because they get advertised.
Okay.
Okay.
So they're just advertised. Nobody can just walk in.
Well, you do have people who will walk in and make an inquiry, okay? And when there is an inquiry, we respond immediately.
Okay.
Okay. Sometimes the inquiries may not necessarily be directed to performing arts.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, we had one inquiry of somebody saying, okay, fine, can you assist me in terms of supporting people who are suffering from autism?
Okay.
You know. So it's not in the space of performing arts, but if I can guide them, I will guide them. Okay. And then you do have direct, inquiries about people who say the latest that I saw was about an academy. Okay. So people look for financial sponsorship.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we can only guide them.
Okay.
Because PACOFS is not in the business of giving out money. PACOFS is in the business of developing people.
Okay.
Okay. So that is what our business is all about. Okay, in the space of performing arts, theater, dance, and you name it, festivals and all that. Now, how will people get access to our programs? We use different media platforms. Okay. I mean, this program, it was advertised by a particular newspaper, and it was all over the place.
Okay.
Okay, it was on Facebook. It was all over the place. So that's how people access us. People came here for a comedian show. Now you ask yourself, how did people get access to that, knowing about it? People who were here were from the local area. Okay, they came and attended a comedian show on Friday. Okay, so the different platforms, especially your Facebook and all that, we use that particular platform to be accessible.
All right. Okay. Now, in closing, sir, I would not like to touch a lot on the past, but we all know that PACOFS has had a history of mainly performing artists coming out and saying that they were not treated fairly, they are not happy with the treatment or the administration of the place. What is it that you as a new CEO, what are you going to change? What are you going to do different? And how are people going to receive what you are going to give?
Look, there's always a past, and I'm coming in, and as I said, I will not have a hangover of the past. But my intention is to look at what are the strengths and build on it. Okay, what are the things that I need to change? Now, today's date is an example of things that were not looked after.
Okay.
So then you ask yourself, where was the focus, right? I mean, you had a bust of Andre, right? It was stolen. Well, it has been recovered. Okay, but that should have been anyone's preoccupation as an accounting officer. Okay, so how do you get this thing? So I should have actually been coming here just to augment whatever. Okay. Now I have to first start by getting my hands dirty, clear up some things, right? Places were vandalized, okay? So you ask yourself, it's like, where was the leadership? Okay, so I'm not going to focus on, I already know where the problems are. Okay. And by identifying the problems, my intention is to fix the problem. All right. And then move on. And then in order to fix the problem, I'll bring my team along. All right. Okay, to say that, guys, you already know where the problems are. Let's fix it. Okay? And then gradually we will get there. Okay, and as people see what we are trying to do, they will then start having a sense of appreciation.
Yes.
Okay, and everyone is welcome. People that feel that they have been neglected and so forth, at some stage we'll have a conversation with people in the performing arts.
Okay.
Let's have a dialogue, okay, but not a dialogue of whinging, a dialogue of what we call a gap analysis. What are the things like our APP? Always ask the question, was our APP tested with the custodians? The answer is no. Right? So next time around, when you have an annual performance plan, you then engage your stakeholders.
Okay.
They must poke hole into the plan to say that the plan, no, it's not catering for this, it's catering for that. So that you have a stakeholder engagement. Then you know exactly what your stakeholders are requiring. Okay, not what you are, prescribing to them. So that information we will obviously with time, resolve. And as I said to when I joined, let's first understand: do we know our stakeholders? That's a very fundamental question. Because if you can answer that, you know our stakeholders, then it's very easy to deal with the problem that you have raised. Okay. Now the mere fact that you have that conflict is an illustration that, one, there's not effective communication, right? Two, there's a misunderstanding of issues. Three, people have to sit around the table, right, and harmoniously say, how do you find a solution, and let's have a common vision. So it's to promote that common vision. But with time, that will come.
All right. Thank you so much, Ntate Dlamini. We wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We just had a conversation with Ntate Dlamini, who is the new CEO of PACOFS. He had just told us that this cleaning program of today was not a once-off thing. It will be a continuous thing. So we will be tracking the progress, and we will be invited again as media to come track, or rather follow, what has been happening with resuscitation of the place.
Central TV.